Hey, 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 happy Tuesday. Come on in, pull up a chair. Gaming Gang Dispatch is in the air. Howdy, 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 gang. Welcome once again to the Duct Tape Studios. I'm Jeff McAleer, your host here at the Gaming Gang Dispatch, brought to you by thegaminggang.com, of which I happen to be the founder and editor-in-chief. Tonight is Tuesday, November 23rd, 2021. This is live stream number 720. Yowza. This is your first time joining me, let me point out, super casual, just hanging out, talking about the latest in tabletop gaming news, as well as taking a peek at new tabletop games. So tonight, I'm actually going to be unboxing and taking a first look at 1848 Australia from GMT Games. And I'll tell you right now, this is a hefty box. It's got some weight to it, that's for sure. So do want to mention, we always tackle the tabletop gaming news first. So if you are looking forward to the unboxing of 1848 Australia, sit tight. We'll get through the news. Usually takes about 30 minutes or so, and we will dive on in. If you are watching after the stream ends, as long as it's about 30 minutes or more after it ends, there will be timestamps. So if you have no interest in checking out the tabletop gaming news, although you should, you can click on a timestamp and just jump ahead. Do want to mention, if you like this video, give it a quick thumbs up. Subscribe to the Gaming Gang channel if you haven't already. And if you do subscribe, ding that bell. It'll not only let you know when the dispatch streams live, Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday evenings at 7 p.m. Central. I'll also let you know when I've uploaded other videos, such as my upcoming review of Merv from Osprey Games. That is on the near horizon. So check that out. It is the first release in Osprey Games. It's not necessarily a line of games, but they are aiming for some kind of middleweight Euro games, and it's the first release in that kind of category. So stay tuned. I'll have my review of that out pretty soon. Of course, when you're not watching videos on the Gaming Gang channel, be sure to visit thegaminggang.com for all the latest in gaming news, reviews, and a whole lot more. You know the drill. Get your geek on at thegaminggang.com. Lastly, this is a live stream, so that means there's chat available. It's not on screen. It's one of the ways that I keep some of the more unusual commenters at bay. But if you want to say howdy or have a question or a comment, by all means, chime in. I will do my best to respond. So far, we've got the Motor City Madman. Yes, the Madman is first out the gate in chat. John Vogel's with us. Kevin R. Smith is hanging with us as well. Mr. Eddie T, Disavowed 92 are also here. And we've got Deadly Dark Guy, who I believe might be a first-time visitor to our chat. So very cool. Chat is off and running. Speaking of off and running, let's jump on into tonight's news, because arriving next spring from Board and Dice is Zapotec. And here's what I know. In a game of Zapotec, you build temples, cornfields, and villages in the three valleys surrounding the capital to generate resources needed for building pyramids, making sacrifices to the gods, and performing rituals. Each round, players simultaneously pick a card from their hand to determine their turn order and the resources they collect. Players then perform individual turns and spend resources to build new houses, gain access to special abilities, make sacrifices to the gods, and build pyramids. The played action card determines three important aspects of each player's turn. The resource printed at the top of the card determines the row or column to activate on the resource grid to collect income. The icon in the middle of the card matches one of the 9 properties of the building spaces on the map, one of 3 building types, one of 3 regions, or one of 3 terrain types. On their turn, players may build only on spaces that match that icon. The number at the bottom of the card dictates the turn order for the round when the card is played. At the end of the round, players draft new cards from the central offering, with the final undrafted card becoming the scoring bonus card for the following round. After 5 rounds, players score points for pyramids, for their position on the sacrifice track, and for their ritual cards. Player with the most victory points, obviously enough, wins. Zapotec is for 1 to 4 players, ages 14 and up, plays in 60 to 90 minutes. It's going to carry an MSRP of $50 when it hits stores next spring. I do believe their game plan is to have it in stores in June of next year. Sounds pretty interesting. I have to say, and unfortunately, for some strange reason, I wasn't paying attention when I was typing out the web address for board and card, I should say board and dice. I was thinking of boards and cards, indie boards and cards. So it says boards and dice, but that is incorrect. It is board, singular, not plural, and dice. So don't know what I was thinking there when I was typing up all of these little slides flying on past. This could be kind of cool. Do want to mention that I find it interesting that board and dice have like a lot of these Mesoamerica themed games. It is amazing how many Mesoamerican themed board games they've got. It's pretty wild. It is pretty wild. Disfod92 says you can pre-order Zapotec on Board Game Geek as well. I think you can actually pre-order it from Board and Dice too. I think pretty much every online retailer is offering a pre-order for it. Although one thing I did notice, there is a discount in the pre-order on the BGG store, which usually there isn't. Usually the BGG store charges you MSRP and sometimes a couple of pennies more than MSRP. So, new. On to our next news piece. Coming soon from Gale Force 9 is a game of Chicago mobsters in the 1920s. Here's the latest on Wise Guys. When I sell liquor, it's bootlegging. When my patrons serve it on a silver tray on Lakeshore Drive, it's hospitality. That was Al Capone. Gale Force 9 are very excited to bring you Wise Guys. Experience the glitz and glamour of the roaring 20s as a gang boss in Prohibition-era Chicago. Wise Guys is a quick-to-learn, cutthroat, area-control board game where you play as one of the 4 rival gangs seeking to strike it rich as rum runners on the rough streets of Chicago at the height of the roaring 20s. Each turn, players wheel, deal, talk, and fight to control locations where they buy and sell alcohol, help politicians get elected, and get help in return or double-cross rival gangs. Negotiate, threaten, and ally with rival gangs when it serves your needs, but be wary of the inevitable knife in the back. Players roll to choose their gang, then set themselves up with a respectable front of neighborhood businesses and their associates, whilst keeping their resources, money, guns, and booze hidden from their rivals. Take control of real-life gangsters such as Al, Scarface Capone, Dino Banyan, Pollock Joe Saltese, and Ralph Sheldon. Players issue orders for their made men and associates to drive to existing or newly revealed locations, exploiting profitable opportunities as they arise. Everything you need to turn Chicago upside down is included in the box. I have to say, I don't have any solid info about player count, playing time, MSRP, or what, but I can tell you it's supposed to be out in February of next year. Sounds kind of interesting. Here's one thing that I do notice, though, and this is one of these situations where you can tell nobody involved with this game must be from Chicago or have a lot of information about gangsters. Because number one, in the 1920s, you did not call gangsters wise guys. Never. That was not it. A wise guy was a smartass. That was a wise guy, not somebody who's like in the mob, because there wasn't the mob. There were no mobs. They were gangs. That's why they were gangsters. They were hoodlums. So that was the first thing I noticed, because I don't think the term wise guys came into use until like the 1970s. So I was kind of like, Plus, if they were going to have various different gangsters, I would have definitely gone with Jim. Well, I've heard his name pronounced different ways. We always heard it Calissimo, but I've also heard it Calissimo. And he was a big gangster in Chicago. He had a restaurant that I remember even as like a teenager and somebody in my early 20s going and actually dining at, not even having a clue who the restaurant was actually owned by and named for. I guess maybe they're not using him because I think that he got bumped off in 1920. So I don't know. Kevin's asking what's written on the bottom row of tokens. Yes, I think it's the associates. I think they just have, one row of tokens are the gang leaders, and then below are the associates. This could be kind of cool, though. Looks pretty interesting. All right, on to some role-playing game news, because a new bundle of holdings arrived. It features the Liminal role-playing game from Modiphius Entertainment. Here's the scoop. Adventura! This all-new Liminal bundle presents, you guessed it, Liminal, the tabletop role-playing game about guardians on the boundary between the modern-day United Kingdom and the hidden world. Designed by Paul Missioner and distributed by Modiphius Entertainment, Liminal uncovers secret societies of magicians, a police division investigating Fortean crimes, fey courts, werewolf gangs, and haunted places where the walls between worlds are thin. For just $9.95, you get all 9 titles in this complete collection, which has retail value at $38, as DRM-free PDFs, including the complete Liminal Core Rulebook, the Pax Londinium Sourcebook, and 7 case notes, scenarios. Prodigal Son, The Haunting House, Beneath the Stones, Ghosts of Glencoe, The Repairer of Reputations, Shadow to the Lights, and the new case note, The Oak and the Amulet, which debuts in this offer and is not yet available anywhere else. This bargain price offer gives you everything you need to face danger, play supernatural politics, solve mysteries, and try to minimize the harm the hidden world does to mortals. Cross the boundary into Liminal. These savings run through December 8th, and 10% of your payment after gateway fees will be donated to this offer's pandemic-related charity, Direct Relief. I know nothing about this role-playing game outside of during the Halloween freebies over at Drive-Thru RPG, there were a few of the Liminal case notes, the scenarios that were available for free as freebies of the day. Other than that, this is not something I know much about, except I can say, looks like they've got really nice artwork throughout. And for $10, you get essentially everything that's out there for Liminal. Not too shabby. December's right around the corner, and there's plenty of Pathfinder role playing game goodness on the horizon from Paizo Inc. Here's the major releases slated for next month. There is the Pathfinder Adventure Path 174, Shadows of the Ancients. It is the finale of the Strength of Thousands Adventure Path. Save the Magumbia. The heroes return to the Magumbia Magic Academy to find the villain they vanquished on a distant planet had set another scheme in motion long ago. Students and teachers have been twisted by evil magic, and the heroes must engage in legendary tests to gain the means to free them. While a monstrous foe thrashes through the Magumbia, it's up to the heroes to save the school from utter destruction. Shadows of the Ancients is a Pathfinder adventure for 4 18th level characters by Saif Ansari. This adventure concludes the Strength of Thousands Adventure Path, a 6-part monthly campaign in which the heroes rise from humble students to influential teachers and ultimately decide the fate of the Magumbia. This adventure provides guidance to tell stories that are like fables or set in truly unusual adventure locations, and concludes with a look at powerful monsters, magic, and abilities that only the mightiest Magumbian heroes can claim. Each monthly full-color softcover Pathfinder Adventure Path volume, say that 5 times fast, contains an in-depth adventure scenario, stats for several new monsters, and support articles meant to give game masters additional material to expand their campaign. Pathfinder Adventure Path volumes use the open game license and work with both the Pathfinder role-playing game and the world's oldest fantasy RPG. The softcover is going to carry an MSRP of $24.99, or you'll be able to grab the PDF for $17.99. Then we have Pathfinder Lost Omens, Absalom, City of Lost Omens. For nearly 5,000 years, the great city of Absalom has stood at the center of the inner sea's culture, commerce, and prophecy. Now, with the death of the city's founder god, Erodin, the disappearance of the city's Lord Mayor, and newly launched attacks from some of its greatest foes, Absalom stands at the gateway to a new and uncertain destiny. This lore pack 296-page hardcover guide to the locations, denizens, and adventures of Pathfinder's most famous city is the largest Pathfinder city sourcebook to date, presenting a fascinating locale suitable for years of adventure. Includes a huge 8-panel poster map of the city, sets the scene in unprecedented detail, allowing your heroes to walk upon streets paved with centuries of history, following the steps of generations of questing heroes to chart a new path for the city at the center of the world. This hardcover is going to carry an MSRP of $54.99 and will be available in PDF for $34.99. Then we've got Pathfinder Lost Omens, Monsters of Myth. Release the beasts. Heroes abound in the Age of Lost Omens, but for every great hero, there is an even greater monster. Lost Omens, Monsters of Myth provides details of 20 of the most infamous and terrifying monsters from the Inner Sea region and beyond. Uncover the secrets of some of Galarian's greatest monsters, from the Sandpoint Devil to the Fafnir and the father of all Lindorms and more. Monsters of Myth provides rumors, tales, and even treasures for the brave adventurers willing to face these legendary creatures. This hardcover will carry an MSRP of $34.99, or you'll be able to grab the PDF for $24.99. Then we've got the Pathfinder Spell Cards, Secrets of Magic. Master every last incarnation with Pathfinder Spell Cards. Did I say incarnation? Just said incantation. Ay, ay, ay. English, Jeff. Remember, it's English. Master every last incantation with Pathfinder Spell Cards, Secrets of Magic. These indispensable spellcasting accessory contains over 400 spell reference cards spanning every magical tradition and focus spell from Secrets of Magic, so you have access to all the game details you need without flipping pages. With Pathfinder spell cards, Players of any spellcasting class can easily arrange, plan, and manage their spells, whether they're getting ready for a day of adventuring or facing down a monster. Keep all the wonder and magic of Pathfinder at your fingertips, ready to be unleashed. This box set of 400 cards will carry an MSRP of $54.99. Then finally, we've got the Pathfinder Flip Mat Classics Tavern Multi-Pack. Sooner or later, every group of adventurers ends up in a tavern. Pathfinder Flip Mat Classics provide ready-to-use and captivatingly detailed fantasy set pieces for the busy game master, chosen from the most useful and most popular releases in the Flip Mat line. Whether the adventurers are just looking for a place to rest, heading somewhere to meet up with an ally or patron, looking for their next job, or about to get ambushed in the middle of town, the taverns included in this multi-pack have you covered with 4 different locations in all. Don't waste your time sketching when you could be playing. With Pathfinder Flip Mat Classics Tavern Multi-Pack, you'll be prepared next time your players are ready for a pub crawl. This will carry an MSRP of $24.99. All of these are supposed to be releasing right about December 15th. So they're scheduled for December 15th release, but I don't know. That's why I'm saying probably mid-December. I know we had some delays on the November releases for some retailers as well. So Flaming Huron's with us in chat. So is Omanal has popped on in. I think I've got, everybody. I think I've said hello to everyone. My final news piece, Warhammer Age of Sigmar Soulbound has received a new supplement from Cubicle 7 Entertainment. Here's the skinny on Artifacts of Power. Realm gates crackle with eldritch energy. Incredible artifacts of untold power alter the fates of thousands, and great warriors wielding realmstone-infused arms hunt endless spells that strike terror wherever they roam. The mortal realms are full of incredible artifacts of power. Will you claim them for yourselves? Warhammer Age of Sigmar Soulbound Artifacts of Power is perfect for those who want to fill their soulbound games with incredible magic items, adventures about fate-defining artifacts, and terrifying arcane manifestations unlike anything seen before. Artifacts of Power contains detailed information about Realmstone, crystallized magic energy that can be used to craft powerful weapons, armor, and more. A vast selection of magical weapons, armor, and artifacts, along with methods of randomly generating your own with thousands of possible combinations. A collection of ancient relics, artifacts so powerful they can change the fate of the realms, each of which comes with their own thrilling adventure. Detailed information on the mysterious distance-spanning realm gates, including ways to create and add them to your games. Rules, player options, and stat blocks for hunting endless spells for the most deadly creatures in the mortal realms are included as well. This 144-page Artifacts of Power is available in PDF at Drive-Thru RPG for $19.95. So I'm glad to see, because remember, I was talking about this yesterday. I called Cubicle 7 out. What was it, 95-page PDF? And it was $19.99. This is a little more, 144 pages, $19.95. All right. That makes sense. That's closer to the norm. But if you have been following Soulbound, Sammy has done reviews of almost everything that's come out for it. I think there's a few things, including this book. She'll be doing a review of this. But she thinks this is actually an excellent system and setting. And she was very, very surprised. So it was kind of like, All right. Flaming Heron saying, so in time for Christmas with the Paizo releases? I do believe so. I think we should be okay as far as that goes. I can't tell you positively, but I do know the Pathfinder releases are slated for mid-December. All right. That said, that is it for this time out as far as the news. I was just mentioning Drive Through RPG. And of course, keep in mind the gaming gang, thus the dispatch, is affiliated with the One Bookshelf sites. So if you are going to visit Drive Through RPG, please stop by thegaminggang.com first. Click on one of our banner ads. That way, if you happen to make a purchase, I get a little portion of that sale. And all those nickels, dimes, and quarters really do add up and help keep thegaminggang.com around. Also, if you happen to like what I do, if you like the channel, if you like thegaminggang.com, if you like this video, you can buy me a cup of coffee or some soda simply by going over to paypal.me/thegaminggang. And big thank you to the Madman. The Madman made a donation. I believe it was last night or earlier today. So thank you very much. Always appreciate that. Every little bit helps without, me having to do Kickstarters and things like that. So we're going to get into a first look at 1848 Australia in just a couple of moments. But I do want to mention, I am kind of bouncing around the idea of doing a 50-50 auction, not a 50-50 raffle, a 50-50 auction, and doing it live, maybe on a Saturday, sometime in December, early enough where the auction winners would receive the games in that before Christmas, especially if they want to give anything as a gift. And I would split right down the middle what comes into the auction with Extra Life for Kids. Extra Life that supports the Children's Miracle Network of Hospitals. So I was bouncing that around. I was thinking, maybe do 3 hours live on a Saturday, because I really wanted to take part in Extra Life for Kids back earlier this month. Just was, didn't have anybody I could play stuff with. So like, what am I gonna do? I don't know. Then I figured, well, other people will be watching different streams. Why would gamers be just watching me? Like, when they could be watching like Satine, Phoenix, and other people playing games, things like that. So Omidal says, seems like plenty RPGs throughout the year to drain their account. Yeah, and Flaming Heron says, yeah, not alone with that problem. All right. The Madman says that there's one item in their drive-through RPG wish list that they need to resolve. Well, it's always pretty funny. So it's Thanksgiving week. See what's cooking. I'm on the hook to make some of my famous cucumber salad. Basically sweet and sour cucumbers that I tend to make all the time. So the Madman says, nice. They're looking forward to an auction if I do it. Well, if you're interested, pop in, say something in chat, or comment in the comment section to let me know. Otherwise, I just assume people are like, nah. So Omenal says there's a new Humble Bundle that just popped up with more RPGs, including Dungeon Crawl Classics. Took me a second. I'm like, DCC, Dungeon Crawl Classics. There we go. That must have just popped this afternoon, because I actually checked Humble Bundle earlier today to see if they had anything cooking as far as RPG bundles that I wanted to include in, the news. Flaming Heron says, well, Black Friday sales are in full swing, and they're going to get even swingier. I have to keep an eye out for a nice laptop for my dad. One that will run Windows, or I should say Microsoft Flight Simulator 2020 with relative ease. So, and I already explained to him that that's not a $600 laptop that's going to do that. So I already told him it's going to be pricey, but try to give them something to keep them occupied. All right. So let's jump on over to our first look because tonight I am going to be unboxing and taking a peek at 1848 Australia from GMT Games. Designed by Helmut Ole and Lonnie Orgler, with artwork provided by Kurt Miller. I'm not positive if it's the game artwork, because if it's like most of the 1848 series, there really isn't much. Or if they're talking about the box cover artwork, which is my assumption, what Kurt Miller did. This game is for 3 to 6 players, ages 14 and up, plays in around 200 to 240 minutes, and does carry an MSRP of $75. Swing on over to the other camera because here I've got 1848 Australia. Let's get the shrink wrap off here. All right, come on, you. And we'll take a peek at the back here. I'm not going to read everything from the back. 1848 Australia is a semi-historical railroad game. So it is semi-historical. It's not historical. For 36 people, it covers 150 years of railroad construction and growth in Southeast Australia. Beginning in the colonial period, when private industries formed private railways, and stretching beyond 1901, when the Australian colonies united to create the Commonwealth of Australia. 1848 Australia is based on the game 1829 by Francis Tresham. Historical constraints have, as far as possible, been taken into account. In other areas, history will be written anew. 1848 features the inclusion of the Bank of England as a public company that extends loans and administers railroads that are in receivership, dealing with the different track gauges between states and the Gone special train. Okay, let's crack this on open. So there's some discussion about that RPG bundle over on Humble Bundle. I always have to point out, I mean, granted, Bundle of Holding has some really good deals, but when we see the role-playing game deals over on Humble Bundle, they tend to be rocking good. They are smoking deals. So we've got some railway boards. We've got our rules of play. We've got an auction track. So we're going to be taking a look at all of this. This isn't a really rules-intense game. I will point that out. Looks like we've got 16 pages of rules for this. So we are going to have a series of different railways. So we have the Queensland Government Railway. I think these are one-sided. Yep. It's only at the one side. Commonwealth Railways. Federal Territory Railway. Victorian Railways. South Australian Railway. West Australian Railway. New South Wales Railways. And the Central Australian Railway. So those are the different railroad companies. So let's jump on into the rules of play here. So we get a bit of introduction, talking about history. This the very first Australian railway was a horse. Yep, it's a horse. It's a horse, John. Railway. The first Australian railway was a horse-drawn railway, which in 1831 connected coal mines to the quays on the Hunter River. By 1855, there were 3 coal railways in Newcastle. So just kind of discussing that. Get a breakdown of the components. Yes, there's paper money in this. Flaming Heron says, one of those nights. Well, the thing is, and I haven't really talked about it, but everybody, if you follow the show, you know that I was going downtown Chicago for a bunch of dental stuff. So I'm having implants done down here. But I have to have a bone graft done, which, yeah, it's minor. It's nothing that big a deal. So they've done the extractions, but I don't have the implants yet. So these are fake right here. And they kind of hook in. And it's very different. I'll tell you that right now. That's why you can tell when I'm enunciating words and things like that, it's a little bit different because it's not like having regular teeth in your mouth. So, yep, that's what's been going on. So I'm sure people out there were thinking, Jesus, Jeff like drinking before the show because he's kind of slurring, kind of. No, it's that. All right, moving right along. So, talking about game preparations, Flaming Aaron says, ouch. Yeah, it is what it is. We got the start of the game, private companies. I don't know what the GAN is, the GHAN train. So we got public companies. So these are all public. These railways are all public companies. We also have the Bank of England. So Commonwealth Railways, there's something special about this because it actually has its own. So they're not a public company? I don't know. Uh-huh. So we've got directors, changing directors, operating rounds, laying track tiles, changes of gauge. Different parts of Australia use different gauges. Well, that happened in the United States as well. This is indicated on the map by 3 different background colors. Okay. Got station tokens. We've got our trains, so we've got our rolling stock there. Purchase the trains, mandatory train purchases, the phase track, train income, share price changes in an operating round, and talking about different shares, and the end of the game. The current set of operating rounds is always played to completion. Game ends if one or more of the following conditions have been met. The bank has run out of money. Well, I would think that would bring things to a screeching halt. The company's share price has reached the highest possible position on the share price chart. The Bank of England has given 16 or more loans, or there are 5 or more companies being administered by the Bank of England. All right. It says company assets in the form of trains or treasury play no part in the final reckoning. Each player adds to his cash the value of his shares as determined by the share price chart. The player with the greatest wealth is the winner. Flaming Heron says, yeah, drinking's preferable. So Flaming Heron says they drink to explain their slurred words. This File 92 says the design team of Olney and Olger, or Orgler, I should say, is great. To name a few, Russian railroads and Trambon. Trambon makes some awesome cinnamon rolls. They are so good, and they are in all those airports everywhere you go. Yep. Trambon. So we've got our auction track. We've got a revenue track. Here's our Bank of England. I'd assume this is single, just one-sided, right? Yeah. So there's the Bank of England making loans. There we go. It's going to trigger the end right there. We've got a bunch of punch boards because we have the tiles that we're going to use to actually lay track. It's going to lay out the routes. And we've got the board we've got different cards here. Yes, paper money. Boo. Boo. I just dislike paper money a lot. Paper money gets beat up so easily in board games. We've got some markers and a cylinder. They're all white. I think they're just for informational markers. But yeah, paper money just gets trashed so easily. So I will point out that the paper stock of this is a little bit thicker. But I got to be honest, I would rather see board game companies just make a punch board with like cash counters on it, cash tokens on it, and use that. We don't necessarily need this. We really don't. And I got to be honest, it would probably save money too, because then you don't have to worry about all the different artwork that they usually throw on the different bills and things like that. All right, I'm going to get that back out of the way because it's paper money. We don't necessarily get it to like take a look. This Spot 92 says everyone leaves the paper money in the box and uses their poker chips. There you go. Yeah, I would say that's perfect. So put those back there too. We'll take a look at the cards last. I think what we'll do here is we're going to look at the board, and it seems like this is a pretty good size mounted board. So I'm going to do my best to show this off. I know I'm not going to get the whole board in one shot. So we've got our bank pool here. We've got our phase track. This is probably where the cylinder goes to indicate what phase we're in. We have receivership. And this is our share price chart as well. Then the bottom portion of the board is actually going to be the map of Southern Australia. So here we go. Just like this. Let's see if I can open it all the way up so you can see that down here. So we've got our public companies. So these are the shares for the public companies, no doubt. Available shares, and when they're gone, they're sold out. We've got certificate limits. We have different towns. And then I believe these are starting locations here for some of the railroads. I think, I'm not positive. It's been a long, long time. It's been years since I reviewed 1848. And I got to say, the gang is not real huge on 18XX games. Neither am I. I kind of do like them, depending on what they are. But I can't remember how you play. So Flaming Heron says, yeah, the map is totally to scale. Russell Higgins has popped in. So there is the board. Just trying to keep some of this stuff together here. Now I'm going to zoom in so we'll get a better look at the tokens, the different counters. Okay, so here we've got these are the different railroads. These look like these are loans from the Bank of England, and they are dual-sided. And then we've got our tiles. So you're actually laying tiles as far as creating the routes. Kind of give you an idea here. And I think in fact, I think it was pointing out in the rules that we had the different gauges. And I think the different gauges are indicated by this. Because I thought terrain is basically the color. I might be wrong. Like I said, it has been quite a while. So we've got, what, 5? And these are thick. These are real thick. So these tiles are going to hold up to a lot of repeated play. Yeah, so we got 5. 5 of these punch boards there. Okay, so let's take a look at these cards. Once again, I think these are the yeah, it says right here 2 shares. Because that was one thing I remembered. I remember the railroads have stacks of shares. So we've got Queensland. This is the Commonwealth, Federal Territory, Victoria Railway, Railways, I should say, South Australian Railway, the West Australian Railway, the New South Wales Railways, Central Australian Railway, and then we've got shares in the Bank of England. Okay. And then these are income. Aha, so there's the gun. I'm not familiar with what, or at least I just don't remember what these cards are for. Now we got the priority card. So I'm assuming that is our first player. So that's this deck. And these are pretty standard Euro size cards. They are rounded borders. Do you want to mention that? Now we got this is going to be our rolling stock. These are going to be our engines. And the cost for them. These are dual sided. So that's the Gulf Lander. So we've got a few of those. Then we've got the Islander. Got a few of those. We've got the Westlander. The Sunlander. The Overland. And of course, as the years progress, you have these available to you. So you're not sitting there with that train throughout the whole game. Flaming Heron says New South Wales is the best state. Not biased at all. Some discussion of cards getting ripped, and Kevin says they don't think they ever had problems with ripped cards when they were a kid. So we have, this is the Indian Pacific. I think these are now the top of the line trains that we've got. Are they all? Oh, there's the Grand Train. Got a few of those. I think that's some sort of, like, maybe it's like a mail train or something, or a train that's actually transporting wages and things. That's possible as well. All right, cool. So there we go. We've got all of our different rolling stock. So those are the cards. And do I have? Yeah, I got a bag floating around. If I can get it open. There we go. Just so these don't fly all over the place in the box. Yeah. Let's see. Put the cash in here. Should leave me enough room. Barely. All right, I should have put both of them like this, but I didn't. Make life easier. Disavowed 92 says the gun is a passenger train. Okay, cool. Okay, so we've got the paper money. We've got our decks of cards. We've got our discs. We have our punch boards with the railway ties, with the route tiles. Got our informational markers here as well. Our Bank of England card. Our auction track, as well as our revenue track. The different railways. The cool mounted board, as well as our rule book. And that's what we find when we take everything from 1848 Australia outside the box. Hopefully, I'll have a review of this at some point in the future. As I said, it's kind of tough to get the gang to play the 18XX games because they're not big fans. But I am trying to branch out and play more games with more people. So we'll see. Anyway, that is 1848 Australia from GMT. Once again, it is for 3 to 6 players, ages 14 and up, plays in 200 to 240 minutes, and does carry an MSRP of $75. Should mention, as with any GMT game, they do not have huge print runs. So if you have any interest in picking up 1848 Australia, I would definitely recommend you do so rather than having to wait around for another print run. Mark my words, especially with an 18XX game from GMT. I guarantee that is not a huge print run. And if you don't get on board and it sells out, you're going to have a long wait to buy it new again. Otherwise, you're stuck going to the secondary market, which is never a good thing. Okay, so tomorrow night, we are going to jump on in and take a first look at the limited edition of Empire of the Ghouls from Kobold Press. I believe the only thing that's different is this cover. I think that's what makes it different, as opposed to it doesn't have that standard artwork cover. That's kind of cool. It's got that silver. So I have not taken a peek at this. So it is going to be a true first look. I never do that with books. I never read them. I always wait to crack them open when we're, sitting here doing the show. So that way I get to experience it for the first time, just like you do. As opposed to being like, oh, wow, I didn't know this would be in the book. So that's it for this time out. Mr. Eddie T says, hey, that looks cool or cool. Yeah, it does. The Kobold Press stuff is pretty cool. Granted, okay, so what was it? Sunless Citadel? I was like, it's all right. It's okay. There were some things that just didn't connect in it. But I thought the their guide, now off the top of my head, I can't remember the title of it. The kind of almost like gazetteer, the big gazetteer of the setting. I thought it was fantastic. I thought it was excellent. So the Madman says they back the standard edition, as with most Kobold Press material. He is enjoying it. Cool deal. Good. I'm glad to hear that. Anyway, as I started to say, that is it for this time out. Of course, remember, if you like this video, by all means, please give it a quick thumbs up. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and if you do, ding that bell. It'll not only let you know when the Dispatch streams live right here on YouTube Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday evenings at 7 p.m. Central. It'll also inform you when I upload other videos, such as my upcoming Merv review from Osprey Games. If you don't happen to stop in to watch tomorrow's show and you're in the U.S., I want to wish you a very happy Thanksgiving. Hope you enjoy yourself with your families. Otherwise, if you pop in tomorrow, I'll wish everybody happy Thanksgiving again. So there you go. Madman says Scarlet Citadel. Yeah, I keep thinking, yeah, Sunless Citadel is a D&D adventure. They're so close in title, you know? That's why it's like, and when I said Sunless Citadel, I stopped. You probably even noticed I kind of paused for a second. And like I was like, wait a second, is that the title to it? Is that the right one? Hey, there's so many games and I'm reading so many things. Sometimes I forget. Plus, I'm old now. I forget things all the time. Not really. Anyway, if you were watching live, thank you very much. Those of you who took part in chat, always thankful for people keeping me company while I sit here just rambling on in front of the camera. But then again, I know a lot of people out there don't have an opportunity to watch live. Maybe you're even watching on Memorex. Doesn't matter. I certainly appreciate each and every one of you out there who take some time out to check out these videos. Big thumbs up for me to you. All right. So some folks saying happy Thanksgiving. Cool deal. Excellent. So, like I said, if I don't see you on tomorrow's show, if you're not hanging out in chat, have a great Thanksgiving. Hopefully, I will see you on Monday's stream. All right. So here's hoping each and every one of you gets to enjoy plenty of great gaming, especially if you got a holiday weekend this weekend, with your very own gang. See you tomorrow. Oh, you're still here. Well, while you're kicking it, how about subscribing to the Gaming Gang channel? Or seeing the latest episode of the Gaming Gang Dispatch? Or finding out what YouTube recommends you check out here at my channel? And of course, don't forget, get your geek on at thegaminggang.com.